Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beyond the Score podcast. Trying to have a little bit of juice this week. So I'm your co-host, Matthew Supinger. Good way to introduce myself. Co-host, Alex Perez. How you doing today, Alex?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing good, man. Like I said, trying to get the energy going, trying to get everything flowing. We got a long day ahead of us today. Hoops and scoops. This is already going to be over by the time this comes out. But I hope you all were there because I'm sure it was a fun one. Ice cream and basketball?
It was a lot of fun.
It was a blast.
Yeah. We're there. It was so great.
That's awesome. This guy.
Speaking of the past week, though, how did you celebrate International Podcast Day? That's what I want to know.
International Podcast Day. I celebrated it by doing a podcast with my best buddy. Actually, we didn't do a podcast. Celebrated the podcast.
Took the bad
by
week not to do the
podcast.
Took the week off.
To celebrate.
To celebrate for sure. Had to board up my house, like too much paparazzi.
Yeah.
TMZ was out there. It was a little crazy, but
Man, dude, sorry to hear that. I guess I'm glad to hear that.
I mean, yeah, it's good that we got our name out there, but it's a little crazy.
Anything like, did you get numbers or anything like that?
No.
Oh, man.
Too dangerous to know who to trust.
Yeah, that's fair.
Colton, how did you celebrate?
I actually had to flee the state, went down to Charlotte to avoid the paparazzi. It's bad enough on a normal day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just the added weight of, National Podcast Day is just, I just had to flee. Got to watch a football game. So, it worked out, but it's nice to be back, in a somewhat safe state. There's some outside the door right now, but
yeah. If you guys hear thuds, anything like that, don't be alarmed. It's, common day.
Nothing to worry about, just a part of the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to get away, Colton, and live somewhat of a normal life for at least a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had the usual hat and sunglasses, it just makes you a completely different person.
Yeah.
Like Ant-Man.
Totally unrecognizable, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like nothing, completely different. It has to be a baseball cap specifically.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Did you take the one Florence Y'all's since he hadn't just turned it around? They were
Of
like,
course.
I don't know who that is.
Like, who even is that? Like, yeah.
Backwards, it can't be him.
No, he only wears it frontwards.
That is Smolten Kith. I don't know who that guy is. All right, we got a good rundown for the day. Going to talk some school sports per usual. NKU sports, college football, NFL. Talk some WNBA. The playoffs are hot. Alex, I know you've been watching them. I haven't been on Twitter as much lately. Mm-hmm. Have you been talking as much on there?
I like to think so, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not as much since my favorite team's not in it anymore. Oh. But, I mean, I love the matchups that are going on in the semifinals right now, so I've been tweeting for sure.
Awesome. We'll make sure to talk to you about that one. I know that's going to be a good one for you. And then America's just recently voted. It's in all the magazines, Forbes, Times, everything. Favorite end of podcast segment, post-game presser. It's just voted on it. So I think they're going to be sending a plaque soon.
That's about time we got that recognition, honestly.
Yeah. I think actually this episode is probably going to break records because Mr. Potato Man is making a guest appearance. He was here for the interview with Shay Shipley. Make sure you watch that one when it comes out on Wednesday. So, yeah, we're probably going to be breaking records with him back there.
For sure, yeah.
So, it's good to have him. So, getting into it, NKU sports, women's volleyball. Had a series with Cleveland State over the weekend. Just played Wright State on Tuesday. Cleveland State, first match, Banks, headlines at 24 kills, 15 digs. Shout out to Sydney Bray, 14 kills. She's been stepping up big time lately, especially with conference games kicking in. That's huge. Tori Houston and Green combined for 54 assists, 9 blocks in that game by 3 players. 3 players had 3 blocks each, so that's big time. Second match against them, Banks 16 kills, 13 digs. Tori Houston continues, dominating in the assist category. She had 26. Lucy Cluxton had 22 digs. And then Wright State on Tuesday, tough loss. It's a very close one. All sets were decided by 3 or less. It was 3-0 sweep for Wright State. Ivy Stocks had 5 blocks. Oh, a little bit of a bar there. Ivy Stocks 5 blocks. Put that one in there. Wright State 9 aces to NKU's 1. They will be back at home October 11th, sausage pizza night. You all going to be there for that?
National Sausage Pizza Day, that's one of my favorite foods, honestly, so I'll be there.
Yeah.
You had me at sausage.
All right.
That's at 6 p.m. And then the 12th, Pink Night at 2 p.m. against Milwaukee. That's going to be a cool one. Make sure you wear your pink, even if you take a sausage. If it's raw, that's pink. That's kind of supposed to be a joke. Guess it wasn't funny.
It was a choice. Anyways.
Yeah.
It was one way to say it.
Women and men's soccer. Alex, you want to talk a little bit about that one?
Yeah, women's soccer improved to 2-1 in the Horizon League. They had a very impressive win against Cleveland State, 4-0. The team continues to be aggressive offensively, as we talked about. We talked about it with Shay Shipley. She said that's a big part of their game plan. They are showing it as well. They're top 5 in shots on goal, assists, and points. And then men's soccer, they played the Detroit Mercy. That is season high 18 shots, so they're not far behind with the aggressive offense either. They started down 1-0, but this team never gets rattled. I feel like they may get down early some games, and it's just really impressive to see that they don't get rattled, and they usually tie it because they are on an unbeaten streak of 6 games now, so can't ask for much better results than that.
Yeah.
So it's just continuing to be a good year for both clubs, honestly.
Yeah. Good show for them. The unbeaten streak of 6 matches is crazy.
Yeah.
I was looking at that. When I first saw the headline, I was like, oh, unbeaten streak. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm used to like basketball or something where it's like unbeaten streak. That necessarily means, you've won all those games. And then I was looking at it and I was like, oh, no, they've tied the majority of those games. They did win a game, I think, in there. But yeah, so big shout out to them. That's big time. They are playing, men's soccer is playing at Green Bay the 12th at 1 p.m. Tune into that one. Women's soccer, home against PFW. That's a pink game. That's going to be on October 10th at 7 p.m. And then on October 13th, they are playing against IUPUI. That is a blackout at 1 p.m. So, yeah, kicking it up to the triathlon side of things. That's really stepping it up here. I had the chance to talk to Alicia Detmer for the upcoming magazine. Make sure you all grab your copy of that when that ends up coming out. Just kind of about, how she got into the sport and stuff. But we're going to be talking about the men's triathlon today. Will Griffith, men's triathlon. He finished 62nd in the MECTC Conference Championship on September 29th. Had a time of 2:44.29. Big shout out to him. That's awesome. It's going to be, I'm sure, stepping up big time here at NKU.
For sure.
Triathlons, that's where it's at. Everybody loves tuning into those. Ironman, stuff like that. Crazy athletes do those. So big shout out to Will Griffith. Softball is going to be at home the 12th against Transylvania at 11 a.m. and Kentucky State at 4 p.m. So a little bit of some, early day fall ball.
Very nice.
On there. If you're a fan of that stuff, be there or be square.
And one more thing about Will Griffith, since he plays so well 62nd, he did qualify for the USAT Collegiate Club National Championships in March. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, get some rest and go out there and dominate
right
like you
back
do.
to it, yeah.
Yeah. Moving on, college football. Alex, let's talk to you about that.
It was a good week of college football.
Big win over Ole Miss. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, they pretty much were solid the whole game. They were 10-7 at the half. They held Ole Miss to 3 straight scoreless possessions for the first time all season. So pretty great defensively. They were down 17-13 with 4 minutes left, but Mark Stoops this time, what do you know?
Big
Called
time.
an aggressive game. And on 4th and 7, delivered a straight to Barryon Brown for a 60-yard gain to set up the winning touchdown. That's just what aggressive play calling gets you. I mean, you can't ask for much more. Vandergriff and Dart had almost identical games, so I think that says a lot about really how Dart played instead of the other way around. But to each its own.
Brock Vandergriff, Heisman.
Yeah, for sure. And defense held Ole Miss to 1-10 on 3rd downs. Kentucky had 20 more minutes of time of possession. They dominated the game and made sure the ball was not in Jackson Dart's hand, and really just took over this game defensively and had the biggest road win since 1977.
Yeah, that's big time. I did want to ask you, you talked about 20-minute difference is what you said of time possession. Do you think if Ole Miss had the ball, and I know this is just hypotheticals, for 10 more minutes, kind of made the time of possession differential a little closer, you think it would have been a different result? Because your defense was playing extremely well.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have been a different result?
Could have, because that time of possession usually means offense isn't playing good. So if the defense is out there repetitively, eventually they're going to get gassed. Luckily, the offense was playing just good enough to where the defense didn't have to be out there all the time. So if it was like, say, 10 or 15 more minutes difference in change of time of possession, it definitely could have been a different result. But the defense and offense really did what they needed to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Heard it here first, folks.
So how'd those Buckeyes look this week?
A little embarrassing. Just kidding. 38-7 over Michigan State. I do wish we probably could have scored more points, but that's pretty points and petty points. 38-7, like I said, over Michigan State. Will Howard continuing to, hold it down. 67% completion percentage, 244, 2 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown. This dude's got his legs going, He's a little bit of a threat on the ground, more than people might think. Did have a pick. I am a little worried about that. He seems to consistently turn the ball over in a game, whether it's like one fumble or one pick. It's not an abundance of like, oh man, he had 4 turnovers in this game, and then he goes a couple games without a turnover. It's like 1 every game. So that is kind of a problem. The rushing attack had 185 yards on the ground, but Henderson only had 68. Judkins only had 54. So those are your headline guys. I mean, I say only. They could have gashed the team, probably more, maybe. But still, the team had nearly 200 yards on the ground. Emeka Abuka, very fun name to say. He had 7 catches for 96 yards. He was putting out some blocks and stuff out there that really helped the offense explode more than it probably would have without that. Had a score on the ground. I don't know, or not a score on the ground. He had a score. I don't know if you guys know this. He is 528 yards away from becoming the Buckeyes' all-time leading receiver.
I did not know that.
Receiving yards, yeah.
That's very impressive.
Very, very quiet career for him, but he's a talent. Consistently consistent.
I really think your all's defense was very impressive. I mean, forcing 3 turnovers and holding Michigan State to 47 yards.
Oh, I was just about to get there, man.
Yeah. Sorry about that. My bad.
No, you're good.
My bad.
You're good. Jeremiah Smith, we're going to talk about him later. 5 catches, 83 yards, a score, had a rushing score, 2 one-handed snags on 1 drive. He's proven that he is a monster, and probably when given the chance could be the best receiver in the country. Maybe a hot take there. I don't know. He's a monster. Defense held Michigan State to 246 total, 47 yards on the ground, forced 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles. Defense is looking phenomenal. I mean, you got to start each position, whether it's JT on the defensive line, whether it's or even Jack Sawyer if you want to talk about him. Caleb Downs holding it out there in the secondary. Denzel Burke playing like an animal. Team is just loaded at every position. And this is going to come back and probably bite me in the butt. I say probably could bite me in the butt if they end up losing a game.
Right.
And then I'm just going to look like an idiot.
I mean, I know we were texting about this before the game. Michigan State's usually like one of those trap games for Ohio State pretty much every season. So It was good to see that they just came out and dominated the game from the start, honestly.
Yeah, it was a good way to open up, conference play and stuff for them. I'm excited to see how they handle the rest of the season, especially seeing how team up north is not handling teams as well.
Not as well, yeah.
Struggling against them dim Gophers. I have connections up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a Gophers fan.
It's big time for them.
Yeah, it is. Colton, how's your team doing, man? I wanted to check in with you. Going well?
Didn't have a good game against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Raiola.
Yeah, same thing.
We held them to, I think, 0-0 at half. I don't know what my hair's doing. It's an interesting look.
It's
good.
Yeah, I know. I've tried to. I put the headset off, and I thought I fixed it. Now it's back to this. So I guess I'm just trying to scare away the paparazzi. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if this team. I've moved on for this year. It's basketball season for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's rough, but we held them 0-0 in the first half, and that's the best this defense has looked all season long. So I guess we can hang a banner for that.
I was just about to say that.
So you don't want to talk about the 13 penalties for 165 yards?
didn't even know about him. Like I said, I was driving the car down to Charlotte.
That's fair, yeah.
This guy was living his best life, Alex, and you had to dunk on him.
It's the only time I get to dunk. Anyways.
Yeah, did you guys have any surprises from week 3? I did want to ask, do you guys think that Bama is, I mean, they're number 1 in the nation, I think now, took over that top spot. Do you think they are the best team in the nation?
No. I think Texas or Ohio State is.
Okay.
But one of the surprises from this week was how good Alabama looked.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just part of how bad Georgia looked, honestly. Carson Beck did not play well, at least to start. But Jalen Milroe is the real deal, 374 passing yards and 117 yards rushing.
Yeah.
That's a Heisman-level game right there.
Yeah.
And Ryan Williams, I don't know if y'all have heard of him, 17 years old. He's pretty good. He's pretty good at catching the football. So I didn't expect them to dominate that game like this. I look forward to this game pretty much every year. And it was a dud to start, honestly. So
Yeah.
that was a big surprise for me. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, that was the game of the week, no doubt. It was extremely fun to watch. Ryan Williams, what a monster. I mean, 17 years old. I got to give him credit. At 17, I wasn't doing things as cool.
Yeah.
I was pretty cool, I guess.
Like
when I was
buying
17,
two
I don't know.
pizzas at lunch and being like, wow, I am living. But
He
that's
was-
about all I had.
Did he have 2 touchdowns in that last game? Or did he have 2 touchdowns in that game against
he had
Georgia?
1 touchdown,
Okay.
but 177 yards.
1 touchdown. You had 2 pizzas.
Yeah. So
So-
who's really winning?
Put your
Yeah.
numbers up there. Yeah, it was such a fun game to watch. I wish Bama would have maybe tried to push the offense a little bit more in the second half. It kind of seemed like till they had their backs against the wall, they were like, play conservative. I mean, I get that,
Yeah.
but it's not like you're playing, New Mexico State. You're playing
Right.
Georgia, the
Yeah.
best team in the country at that time, ranked number 1 in the country at that time. No, they were ranked 2. Never mind, second best team in the country at that time. Try and at least have a little bit more like, all right, well, they could probably come out at any moment and just go crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carson Beck, I know we were talking about it. It is funny how they still continue to have him ranked top 5 quarterbacks, top 3 quarterbacks drafted in this upcoming draft.
I do not see it at all.
I don't get it. He played well enough, to
Yeah.
bring him back, but I don't really get it.
I mean, he was 27 of 50. That's really not like an ideal
No.
passing numbers.
No. I did want to ask you guys, what are you thinking about the whole Texas quarterback situation? Do you think, I personally think having Quinn Ewers as your starter is what you should do. What do you guys stand on that?
I feel like it's a tough subject. I mean, both are QB1s, obviously. Quinn Ewers, I feel like, deserves it because he won the starting position to begin with. So until he gives you a reason not to be QB1, I feel like he should be QB1.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can't really go wrong with either one, from what I've noticed so far, at least.
Yeah.
Colton, would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I think Arch Manning on the majority of the rest of the country is probably a starting QB, but there's something to be said about earning that spot, and I know that's what the Manning family has kind of – they don't want him to just come in and take it. They want him to earn it like they had to beforehand, and I think that's the mentality he has from what I've seen. And I think Quinn Ewers has absolutely earned that starting job, and I think this is very convenient, though, that he doesn't have to try and play through a rib injury. I don't even know if that's still the case because they've just been playing some weaker opponents. But and to your point on the best team in the country, I wholeheartedly agree. I think Texas is probably the best team right now. But I think Alabama, I understand why. They probably have the best win of anybody else out there for now. I think Texas's best win is against Michigan. So I mean, sorry, Josh, that's not the same level of Georgia. So, but yeah, all in all, I think that QB battle it's very interesting because I think the team would honestly have the same results with Arch Manning, but once you get down to the nitty gritty of the season, I think you're going to want Quinn Ewers there, the more experienced quarterback out there for sure.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think, and not that Arch was given the chance to, go play in a college football game, but
Right.
or a college football playoff game, but like one of those quarterbacks did, lead you to that that top 4, seed and stuff like that. So yeah, I think Texas is in a very good position right now. The real hot topic of this week. Who is your guys' Heisman right now?
It's Ashton Gentry. Like,
Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth.
there's
Same here.
nobody putting up better numbers. It's
May I
video
read
game
off the
numbers.
stats, please? I love reading off these numbers, dude.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
845 rushing yards. This is through 4 games, 13 rushing touchdowns, 82, which isn't really a super high volume. It's about 20 per game. 10.3 yards per attempt. Every time this man touches the ball, he has a 50-50 chance of giving you a first down from wherever he is at. He's the Heisman favorite right now. He could probably have a couple games off and still be the Heisman favorite, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that he's Boise State, but I mean, Boise State looks like a tough team that only lost is against Oregon, and they gave Oregon everything they could, and so yeah, I absolutely think he is the. Now, is that in the eyes of everyone else? I know Milroe has definitely put up a performance that any other year would make him the Heisman favorite, and I think he is currently the Vegas odds favorite. But I just no, these numbers are insane.
And speaking of games off, Gentry also was out of a half of one of those games, so
That's
the
right,
numbers could be
yeah.
even better.
Yeah.
So is that who you have, Matt?
Yeah, it's good to know that we all together think that dude should be the Heisman. I did want to add on to their stats, too. Leader in rushing yards. I don't know if you guys know, the closest, 685. 685 rushing yards. So nearly 200 more. He's also responsible for 78 points. He is, and this is going to sound very, very drastic, he's top 39 in the country in most points responsible for. He's tied for 18th. There's a lot of, it's still early, so there's a lot of people who are matched for that. So 39 sounds like, oh, well, he's not that high. He is the only running back in that. Everyone else, quarterbacks. So carrying the offense, I think, would be a little bit of a light term for him.
And, oh, did you have more? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say second in rushing yard or in yards per carry, 9.57. That's a quarterback who has drastically less carries. The leader in rushing touchdowns, next closest is 10. Leader in rushing yards per game, the next closest is 171.2. So 40 yards less than Ashton.
The only thing I was going to say was a plea to the committee. If you don't give it to Gentry, please give it to Travis Hunter, because we're tired of quarterbacks winning this award.
For real.
4 times it's been done since 2000 where a non-quarterback has won the Heisman. We're sick of it. There's no way the quarterback is the best player in the country every single year.
Yeah. Especially, who was the number 1 overall pick last year? I forget. Oh, Caleb Williams. So that makes sense. But there's definitely some dudes in the past who were taken number 1 overall and were not quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Or dudes in the top 5 that were taken and were not quarterbacks. So.
That's fair.
Yeah. Moving on, though.
I was going to add kind of to your surprises from week 4. It's kind of a general surprise. A Heisman kind of favorite going into the year. Ollie Gordon has kind of looked rough.
Yes.
He so far just has 308 yards, about 5 yards per carry. So it's just 2 touchdowns. It just seems like it's just weird that the offensive scheme just moved away from him. He's solid in what he does, but it's like their main focus in Oklahoma State is not to run the ball. It's to use your 7 and 8 year quarterback, Alan Bowman. And it just seems like a weird shift because Ollie Gordon, these numbers that Gentry's putting up looks like numbers that I would expect Gordon to be close to. And it would just feel like we're kind of robbed from a battle between those two for the Heisman. But and it's weird because he's starting to fall down as Gentry's rising up draft boards. Gordon's going down draft boards. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I kind of hope maybe he falls that second round and maybe the Bengals sneak him because I think he's a great talent. Or if we get Gentry, that'd be even better. Just something to pair with Chase Brown. And but yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how far he falls in the draft, in the NFL draft, and how that where he ends up, and if he goes back. I mean, last year I didn't have the stats pulled up. I should have, but he's put up crazy numbers.
Yeah. kind of talking about Ollie Gordon too. They're having a quarterback battle out there at Oklahoma State. It's not like Ollie is splitting carries with another top recruit in the country.
Right.
There's a quarterback battle. Unless they're battling for who can hand the ball off better, I see no reason why there should be a quarterback battle out
Exactly.
there. So yeah, I was gonna make the same comment. Hopefully he keeps kind of dropping down those draft boards. He's gonna be someone who is gonna be picked, second round, maybe third round, and then it's like he's gonna look like a steal, even though it's like this whole time.
It'd kind of be similar to Joe Mixon how he fell down for obviously different reasons, but he fell down the draft board right before that draft, and then the Bengals snuck in, and that was a good 8-year tenure with them. So yeah. I wouldn't mind doing that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Bengals will probably just take a punter or something. I don't know if that's what they'll probably end up doing.
I thought the Bengals' run game was going to be all right as long as Mixon wasn't back. Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah, so anyways, the NFL, week 3. Was it week 3? Week 4, okay.
Week 4.
Didn't get a change. Oops, my bad. Week 4 takeaways. What was your guys' biggest takeaway? I think there's a few that we could definitely talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs, I don't want to speak ill of them because it's going to bite me when they hang like 50 in the Super Bowl on the top defense at that time.
Yeah.
They're not looking too good right now, especially now with Rashee Rice going down. Bills looked really good and then got dethroned heavily by the Ravens and Derrick Henry, my offensive player of the year. Jets looked really bad. The Jaguars continue to look really bad. And the Vikings look like they could be the top team in the NFL. But from anything, what has been your takeaway?
That was one of my biggest takeaways is the Vikings may go undefeated. Like, they look exceptional. That defense is allowing barely 14 points a game, while the offense is averaging 29 points a game. That's a pretty good recipe for some wins.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jefferson playing out of his mind. The resurgence of Sam Darnold is honestly awesome to watch. And what's up?
Quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who's the Vikings defensive coordinator? I forgot.
Not important.
What's been his past coaching jobs, I guess? More important.
Linebacker coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Anyways, Aaron Jones, also top 10 in rushing yards. I feel like he's not getting enough credit for how this offense is moving because he's been a big part of that as well. But other takeaway, Mike Tomlin, apparently not perfect. I thought he was. So the last drive of the game, I don't know if y'all watched, there was a fumble because Justin Fields wasn't looking at the ball. Then Najee Harris didn't run out of bounds, which was, great. And so there's 40 seconds left. Time is ticking, and it gets to 4th down. And Mike Tomlin's like, no timeout. Just run it. 4th down, pivotal play. Let's rush it instead of calling timeout, getting our bearings about us, and figuring out a good play to run. Didn't go well. Spoiler alert. And now this loss is honestly on Mike Tomlin, I would say. Anyways.
There you go. Good rant. I liked it. I enjoyed it. And I think it was fair.
Yeah.
Hey, you're 3-1, buddy. Like, let's.
Yeah, you're still sitting at the top of the division.
Yeah,
so.
let's not rant too hard. Let's start ranting. Let's start ranting when we're 0-3.
Yeah. Colton, what was your takeaway from this week?
I am going to circle back to the Vikings and retweet everything Alex said, and then I have their schedule pulled up here. Let's just take a look. They have the Jets this week in Tottenham. Got the Lions, which that'll be a tough game, but honestly a pretty winnable game. The Lions have been a little inconsistent to start, so maybe that's their first loss. The Rams, who are beat to hell, so that's probably another. That's probably another one. The Colts, who knows, Joe Flacco, I guess, but the Jaguars, Titans, Bears, Cardinals, Falcons, Bears, Seahawks. Packers is maybe the next one where I'm like, yeah, that could be a loss, especially if Jordan Love's back to good form. This team might, I don't know if they're not going to go undefeated. They'll find a way to lose, but
could have 2 losses.
I didn't realize how
probably
easy
split
that
this
schedule was.
Yeah, I mean it's cupcake. It's a cupcake schedule, and I didn't realize I wasn't familiar with Sam Darnold and Brian Flores' game. But yeah, I'll say you were on.
I don't know if you guys were actually.
Yeah, the team I supported was not.
Was not familiar with the game. But yeah, it's Yeah, we're looking at it. We're looking at a Vikings team that might run the NFC here, and I have the playoff picture pulled up if you guys would like to hear that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So we have the Vikings at the top of the NFC North, then the Buccaneers in second place, atop of the NFC South. The Commanders, the Washington Commanders,
Let's go.
atop the NFC East, and then the Seattle Seahawks 3-1 atop the NFC West after quite the cupcake of a start. Not the Steelers, but they had the Patriots, and I forget the other team. The Lions, Falcons, and Saints all round out the wild card spot, and then sitting just outside is the Cowboys, Eagles, Packers, and Niners. I mean, those three teams right there were teams that we expected to be running the NFC, and they're sitting at 2-2 right outside the playoff picture. I mean, long ways to go, but I just always love looking at the playoff picture going into it.
yeah. A couple quick notes. I'm gonna give a little statistical breakdown of that Vikings because that's my takeaway too. I got family friends up in Minnesota. Shout out to them. They're loving this start right now.
Second shout out.
They are loving this.
We love Minnesota.
right now. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Minnesota.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, watching the Eagles how poorly they did play. I forget what I was gonna say now. To be honest, 100% honest with you. So you're talking about the playoff picture.
Minnesota.
Yeah. Talk about the playoff picture. Quick little stat breakdown here. Malik Willis 2-0. Jordan Love's 0-2. I'm not gonna say anything more.
That's hard-hitting journalism right there.
Yeah, and do you guys also remember when Derek Carr was playing so well that the murder rate in New Orleans was down?
Yeah.
Well, he stinks now.
What a
I don't know
time
what the
to be
murder
alive.
rate is, but just quick.
Might
That's
be-
hard-hitting
might be going
journalism
up.
right there.
Yeah.
Might need to keep an eye out for that in the news department. But yeah, a quick breakdown of the Minnesota versus Green Bay game. This was just a good game in general.
Mm-hmm.
Over 800 total yards between the two teams. Both teams averaged over 5 yards a play. Both teams had over 20 first downs. Sam Darnold, 20 of 28, 275, 3 scores, 1 pick. Aaron Jones, you were talking about how good he's played. 93 yards, 4.2 yards per carry. Between Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, they had 157 yards and 2 scores. Jordan Love, though, had 54 total passing attempts. I don't know what the most total passing attempts in NFL history is. I know it's kind of hovering around there because actually I think Big Ben might have
I think, he might add a little bit
up
more.
there close to that.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. 32 of 54, though, 389, 4 scores, 3 picks. He was almost going 1 for 1 there in that game. Josh Jacobs only had 78 total yards. No scores for him. Jaden Reed, their receiving core has been, Packers receiving core has been something to honestly just kind of, spectacle at. Jaden Reed, 7 for 139 and a score. Dontavian Wicks, 5 for 78 and 2 scores. Not too shabby.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a little breakdown of that game. Vikings are off to a hot start. Bengals finally won. Finally won. We're so back, by the way, in case you guys were wondering. The Bengals are completely back, and we're winning the Super Bowl this year.
So back, baby.
That's what I
so
heard.
back.
So back. After this week, it's probably going to be it's Jover. I hope not, but could be. We could very much not be back after this week. But
I would never give betting advice, but if you would think of such a thing of Derrick Henry getting over like 200 rushing yards, yeah, it just
hammer the over.
All I have to say is
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Over, under 500 yards for Lamar and Derrick Henry combined.
Hammer the over.
Yeah.
They're breaking the rushing record this week, I'll tell you. But Burrow had a pretty good game. I might sound biased by saying this. I like to think I'm not because I feel like I look at the stats pretty well. Joe is quietly having an MVP
For
year.
sure.
Very quietly. Threw his first pick this week, and that was off of a scramble drill that was just miscommunicated between him and Jamar. He goes 22 of 31, 232, 2 scores. Chase Brown, give the dude more carries. I mean, 5.3 yards per carry, 2 scores on the ground. He was playing great, but Zach Moss, we know how good he is. So They have to give him so many carries too. Jamar Chase, 3 for 85. The receiving game didn't look as crazy, but I think watching the breakdown of just like watching Joe go out there and like this was truly a game I felt like where it was like he dissected the defense. It wasn't like a, hey, 70-yard long ball and then boom, there's, 3/4 or, 30 yards. It was like truly like sit there, pick apart the defense, and there was like the one long ball to Jamar, 65. And then it was like everything else was like, I'm going to take 21 here. I'm going to take 5 there. So, yeah, defense stunk. 375 total, 105 on the ground to the Carolina Panthers in the year 2024. But don't forget, Andy Dalton, still that dude. Still that guy. Would you take Andy Dalton as your starting quarterback today?
No.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if you all have noticed. Justin Fields having about as good of a year as Patrick Mahomes. So I think I'm all right where I am. But thank you for the offer, though. A good backup for sure.
Just curious. Yeah, we got toasted on defense, but we still won. So
155 yards on the ground is not that many. I mean,
not as many as it could have been.
Anybody could have did that.
We all know how
that's
good
what Joe Burrow needs to
Hubbard is.
improve in is his rush defense.
Yeah.
Because we all know it's his fault. This team's doing so poorly.
It is kind of funny. Everybody's like, he needs to be more of a leader. Listen, man, you can be the best leader in the world. Yeah. I don't think you're, stopping anything. I don't think Winston Churchill is going out there.
Not getting in the 3-point stands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you guys heard the stat on Zach Carter?
He stinks.
I mean, yeah.
Isn't he dead last in pass rate?
Yeah, he's one pass rush rate. Yeah. He is dead last with a 0.0. And to go even further, he gets the most amount of snaps, or not the most. He's like a top 10 or something most snaps of like any interior defensive lineman. The average amount of pass rush success is 9 a game. And for him, it's 0.
I can't wait till the Steelers come to town.
Oh, God.
I hope we play no, actually, that was probably I was going to say, I hope we play a really bad O-line. The past 2 weeks have probably been the worst O-lines we're going to play.
Mm-hmm.
And Zach Carter, dude, put my food in the bag, man.
It's funny.
Your career's done, bro.
It's funny because the TikTok algorithm brought up a video from before the season, and it was like, who would you want on aux? And everyone was saying Zach Carter. And I was just like, maybe he should just stick to being a DJ,
Yeah.
Like,
dude,
football's not for you, buddy.
Yeah, start your Uber career, man. You're going to be driving a whole lot of people around.
Get right to it.
I know these Cincinnati streets pretty well. Oh, yeah, how? Used to play. Good one, Grandpa. Yeah, let's talk about the WNBA a little bit. Alex, playoffs, been going on for a little bit now. Getting real hot, getting real good. Break it down for us.
So the first thing was the Aces and Liberty. They had their game 1, 87-77. New York Liberty win. Brianna Stewart had 34 and Sabrina had 21. And Sabrina's production has really been the biggest difference in the series so far. They met in the WNBA finals last year, and Sabrina averaged 9 points per game in that series. She's not doing that anymore, and that's been the biggest difference. Asia had 21 and Kelsey Plum had 24. Chelsea Gray only had 1 assist, and Asia had no offensive help in the front court. So she's being doubled every play. I know I mentioned this on the Norse bench warmers, but that is the biggest concern I had with the Aces' title hopes for this year was the front court offense, because besides Asia Wilson, there's not too much there. And then in game 2, the Aces had a good start. They were up after 1, and that was the only time they led in the game. The Liberty went on a 9-0 run to end the half, and they were up 11 by the third quarter. It did get to be a 4-point final margin, but it wasn't as close as that made it out to seem. The Aces are the first ever defending champion to be down 0-2 in a 5-game series in WNBA history. Asia had 24, Plum had 6.
Clutch.
Yeah. Only one Aces player scored off the bench, so just what you want from a playoff team. Sabrina, again, not 9, 24. Only 6 fast break points in game 1 for the Aces. So that was their problem there. And then in game 2, they were outscored by 20 in the paint. So that is why the Aces are down 0-2. But moving on to the Lynx and the Sun, which is just as exciting, honestly. In game 1, the Sun won 73-70. Alyssa Thomas has 35 assists in the playoffs so far, which is the most in a 3-game span in the playoff history. Lynx only hit 5 threes, and they're the best 3-point shooting team in the league. So that was a big reason why they lost game 1, because Connecticut was able just to be a defensive stopper and make sure they weren't hitting those threes. Nafisa Collier, been crazy in the first round. She averaged 40 in the first round. She had 19 in game 1. So a little different production. That didn't help. She had 9 in game 2. But the Lynx got better. They won 77-70. Courtney Williams was 17 and Kayla McBride added 11. But the most important thing was that she was shutting down Marina Mabry, who shot 3 for 14, and I'm still mad that Chicago traded her to Connecticut because that's not fair. And they got back to making threes. They shot 42% in that game, and that is honestly why it's tied 1-1, because if Minnesota's hitting threes, it doesn't matter if it's – because everybody on that team can do it, so it doesn't matter if it's Tafisa Collier or Bridget Carlton or Elena Smith. If they're hitting threes, they're really tough to beat. And don't know if that's going to happen the rest of the series, but if it does, they're definitely going to win the series.
What's been the better series?
I really didn't think I'd say this, but I think the Lynx and the Sun has honestly been the better series. The Aces have just disappointed me greatly. There's nothing Asia can do when she's double-teamed every time, but I expected better performances from the people around her. Kelsey Plum's been the only one to help her, and that was only in game 1. So she's pretty much out there doing it by herself. Mm-hmm. And I expected better from, a 2-time defending champion. Maybe I'm crazy, but I thought they would just fight back a little bit.
Yeah.
They have not.
Yeah. Good breakdown there. When's the next game? Tonight?
Friday.
Got it.
Game 3s are Friday.
Awesome. Probably be done by that, so.
Yeah.
It'll be out, so we'll see. We'll see how it is after that. We'll talk about that next week.
I don't think Vegas has much hope, but we'll see.
All right. You know what time it is.
The best time of the show.
Check your watch. Oh, man. Clutch time. Post-game presser, folks. Colton, if you would. Alex, would you like to start with your clips?
I will do it.
All right.
The first one, I have 2 4th and 7 plays. The first one is from the Kentucky Ole Miss game. You're not going to believe where the second one is. But it is Kentucky lining up on 4th and 7 on offense. And would you look at this play, because Mark Stoops decided not to punt the ball.
I'm going to take a guess. Is it Mark Stoops. Screenplay? Screen pass out to the right?
You would think behind the line of scrimmage screen pass, but no, you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Okay. Oh, wow, that's weird.
Brock Vandegrift throws that ball on a rope like he was playing tetherball. And Barryon Brown caught it for a 60-yard gain to set up the game-winning touchdown. Spoiler alert. Look at that move.
Yeah.
That hezzy.
The yak was underrated on this one.
That's why Brock Vandegrift had almost identical numbers to Jackson Dart because of plays like that, where the yak is just there.
Yeah.
And then my second one. It's so great. Another 4th and 7 play. Ole Miss kicker lines up to try and win the game and tie the game. I'm sorry. And
whoops,
that ball cut so bad it looked like it needed peroxide. So Kentucky gets their biggest win on the road since 1977. Huge win, and it's just great to see these very upset fans at Ole Miss. I mean, look at this. I haven't seen that many white girls upset since the Sabrina Carpenter concert was canceled. Like, that is unfortunate, but a great, great week for college football and the Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, that was a good game. Very good game. You remember the Ohio State-Georgia semifinal 2 years ago? I don't know what was a worse kick. That or the Ohio State kick in that one. That was a horrible kick.
Yeah, that was in a dome, right? So I feel like that has to be the worst.
That's true, yeah.
Because if it's outside, you could be like, no, it was the weather for sure.
The wind coming from the concession stands is crazy.
I feel like the context, or at least my experience from it, is what makes it just the greatest thing I've ever witnessed.
Yeah.
Is that, like, it was right as the ball was dropping is when it was happening. So, like, it cut away, like, our screen cut, or we went away from it, I guess. And then we just come back and we see everyone in shambles from the kick.
Yeah.
And we're like, what happened? Like, he missed it? What? And then we see the play, and it's just like laughter for 10 minutes.
I was playing Cards Against Humanity, I think, with my girlfriend and some of her friends. So they didn't have the game on. So I'm checking it on my phone, and I keep like updating it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like they are gonna win this game. And then I check it again, and it says final. I'm like, oh, that's weird. They must not have updated the score. Oh, that's weird. And then I checked Instagram.
ESPN just being a silly goose, not updating the score.
Yeah.
Silly goose.
Ooh, yikes. Yikes. The score was
tough.
right. We did lose. Yeah. We'll queue up my highlights. First one. Not sure what the first one's going to be. But,
Which one would you like it to be?
let's put on some Jeremiah Smith. Let's show the folks what's good. Let's show the folks the future number 1 overall pick.
That's not it. There he is. I was sitting there shot in the dark on which button I was supposed to press. So there he is.
Jeremiah Smith against Michigan State. This is the probably better in terms of context one-handed catch that he had, taking the ball from Devin Brown. One hand. Man,
Oh, man.
that's a grown man catch right there. This kid is 18. A little bit older than Ryan Williams. Takes it out of the sky there for the touchdown. Like Randy Johnson hitting that bird out of the sky.
Ooh, that's a great angle.
Yeah.
That's a
That-
great
Wow.
angle.
I don't know what the altitude is there at that stadium, but Jeremiah Smith just made it a little bit better. So yeah, great catch there by that
Fantastic.
one. Nice post game presser. So let's watch the master cook here. I'm not even gonna say anything. Let's just sit back and enjoy this. I'm gonna make sound effects though, because the goat. Oh, 21-yard gain. How's that make you feel, Alex?
That man was rolling out like my wheelchair basketball team.
That was Zach Moss's best run of the year. Let's just watch this again. This is
An art form.
missed
him there.
Oh.
Missed him there. Oh. Sorry, Zach Moss, get out of the way. Just stand in the middle of the play, moron. Not blocking anyone. Just watching the game happen. I would too, man. If I was out there and I saw that, I'd be like,
That's crazy. He's really good.
this guy is really good at football.
I should really try and maximize his potential.
Yeah. I should maximize his potential by standing there watching. So that's going to help.
I'm his biggest fan.
So yeah, that's post-game presser. Thank you all for tuning in. Any last messages we got?
Just wanted to say rest in peace to Kimbe Mutombo and Pete Rose, 2 legends of our game.
Pete Rose, absolutely. 7.
Hito Turkaloo.
Dang, dude, I didn't even get to hit the speech.
Oh, you're doing this. I didn't think you were going to do a speech. You were wrapping up.
I forgot. We got the juice for it?
I got another random NBA player I can
Okay,
put out there.
okay.
Like it's a never-ending well.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The last episode that I was editing, I was thinking, I was like, maybe he's gonna say. I'm not even kidding you. Maybe he's gonna say Hito Turkoglu. I'm not even joking. So that's awesome that you said that.
He's already got the mix ready.
Yeah. I was going to drop it. So this past week, we celebrated National Podcast Day by not making a podcast, of course. And I spent that time working extremely hard and putting my blood, sweat, and tears into my homework, which is very important, obviously. You all need to do your homework before, despite what anyone says. Despite what we say, it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there doing my homework, and I was sitting in beautiful Griffin Hall over there. And I heard some students off to the side, talking about a class. And similar to the first time I discussed, the sunflower thing. One student was just, man, this class is extremely tough, and I just can't seem to get a grip on the homework. I'm not understanding things. Trying tutoring, I'm talking to my professor after hours, I'm trying to look stuff up. I'm doing everything I can, and I just can't. It was really touching. I just can't seem to understand, this equation. Sorry, Colton. I know it's sad, man, but yeah. And he was like, I just can't seem to get it. His buddy was like, hey, I understand you don't know this topic. I get it. I'm in the class with you. I understand it. I'm trying to help you as much as I can. But at the same time, during this course of issues, and during this course of discourse, and during these lengths of anger and feud and just sadness, you need to realize the bud that experienced the winter eventually embraced the love of the summer.
Marcin Gortat.
Oh, I know what I'm putting in that one.
That will do it for the Beyond the Score podcast this week. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BT_the_word_score and YouTube at Beyond the Score 123. Big thanks to NKU Media Services for letting us use the studio. For Alex Perez, Matthew Supinger, and director Colton Smith, go watch North Bend Warmers podcast. We thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.